Activation code required. Access granted. Warning. Evacuation sequence activated.
We're back. Welcome to the bunker.
And welcome to the S4 Bunker tonight, coming to you live here in the Cascade Mountains in Concrete, Washington. It is, I have to look at my calendar, the 8th of February. My birthday is on the 18th, so I'm counting down, because yes, I'm 53 going on 54, but I still count down my birthdays, god damn it. Because
holy crap, I'm older than you.
Well, yeah, well, of course. Oh, I had to say it. Tonight we are talking Mandela effect and deja vu. Hey, I felt like I've said that before. And other sensory overload topics. So that can be damn near anything. Yeah. So you had Let's get right into woolly mammoth.
Okay. So let me pull this up here. Popular Mechanics had an article last month at the end. There is a company.
1950s?
Huh?
A 1950s Popular Mechanics or a current one?
Current issue. Fair.
Okay.
A Dallas-based company called Colossal has recently added $60 million in funding to move towards a 2027 de-extinction of the woolly mammoth. They're going to reintroduce it into Russia, but that might shift. The point of this is to fight climate change.
Wait, introducing more livestock? Does that how?
How in the fuck is a woolly mammoth going to go, hey, son, stop beating down on the earth? Son, stop. Come on.
Earth, stop moving through the photon belt.
Think of the size of the creatures that we have on Earth now.
Huh? The biggest one's the elephant.
Exactly.
On top of the ground.
The biggest one is the elephant.
Right.
Where do most of our natural resources come from?
Oh, I know. The woods.
Past creatures.
Oh.
It can't just be...
I was
no,
going to say, don't make me think tonight.
So you can't... dead trees and swamps don't just create oils and natural resources.
They create methane.
Earth. Yes. But that's not the only thing they create. Friend, in order to actually create the stuff you need to get into that for our future generations, is you need a combination of flora and fauna.
Somebody's been watching Ice Age too much.
No.
Oh, I ain't talking about you. I'm talking about the fucking scientists. Oh, yeah, let's bring back Ice Age.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. I love woolly mammoths. I thought they were the fucking best ones. But
they're a safe creature.
Huh?
They're a safe creature. That's the thing. They are not looking at bringing back like saber-toothed tigers or anything like that.
Oh, come on. I want a saber-toothed tiger.
Back to Brontosaurus.
Well, again...
Brontosaurus have a big long necks. They don't hurt anybody. They're...
But that's the thing. The woolly mammoth lived in an ecosystem where they were not hunted. Not at a great extent. And the creatures that did hunt them back then are still in existence. That's why, like, a brontosaurus you can't bring back because the creatures that actually were its rival don't exist anymore, and you would have to bring them back as well in order to balance the ecosystem.
Balance the ecosystem. Okay, you bring back a saber-toothed tiger, there goes all the cougars. And the ones in the bar.
But they're not bringing those type of creatures back.
Right.
They're just bringing back the herbivores who were hunted by wolves at that point, as well as saber-toothed tigers and other animals. But wolves and coyotes were their main adversaries. Because a pack of them would attack. Friend, their vast migration patterns will help in preserving the health of the Arctic.
Interesting.
Supposedly.
So
they're going to release them into Siberia.
Right. And
I think Canada would work too, though.
The southern... No, the northern part of Canada. Just put them in British Columbia. That would clean out British Columbia a little bit.
Dave would love that.
No, wait, that's a raptor. I'm thinking the raptor.
We don't have enough room in our parking lots in Bellingham at the Costco. They'd take all the milk, and we couldn't do anything about it because, you know.
Can you milk a woolly mammoth?
Huh?
What if you could milk a woolly mammoth?
Milk?
It's a mammal, right?
Woolly mammoth milk. Yeah.
Eric, you can milk
Not a
any
mammal?
animal if you're brave enough. You just got to be brave enough. You can
What
milk
is
any
it?
animal.
Yeah, I think about the cat.
Friend, but so they are actually going to introduce the first embryo into an African elephant, which I think is actually pretty cool.
I think it's the biggest animal that could handle it.
Yeah, if they did it into like a squirrel, that would be rough.
Maybe we could call it a squally mammoth. Yeah.
It's really not.
Now, if you could engineer little, like, squirrel-sized woolly mammoths, now that would be fun.
That would be horrible.
Are they going to bring back the sloth?
That'd be the Furby all over again.
Is the sloth extinct?
Huh?
Is the sloth extinct?
I think that would depend on how you look at it. There are sloth races that are extinct.
I'm thinking of Ice Age again.
Well, no, but like
Sid.
there are lots of sloth species that did go extinct.
Right.
But other sloth types did survive. Mm-hmm. But if you look at that, then like we're getting to the point of, is it morally correct to bring back one type over another? Because
this guy.
But scientists and morals?
Yeah, I was
Yes,
just
those
thinking
things.
the same thing. What morals?
Yes, we can clone things now.
Yeah. Now what are they going to fucking... Yeah. Now what are they going to clone? I know. You're excited because you want a raptor.
I am. Friend, he's going to be my cute little boy.
Oh.
Somebody love
Come on, you have to admit I would have the safest house out there.
You already pretty much do. Nobody comes here.
That's true.
I mean, there's a reason for that.
Yeah, me. Friend.
But
Here.
what if? So since we're talking Mandela and time slips, what if our one woolly mammoth goes into another dimension and utterly destroys it?
What if that's what happened and that's how it froze so quickly, or they were,
It sucks for the other
frozen
dimension.
time with the food in their belly still, as they just popped into a different dimension where the weather was different. The big
Well,
question is how did they freeze so quickly?
oh, that's easy to explain, actually. Science does explain that one.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So the areas that they were in during the Ice Age, there was areas of slight convergence, which imagine a tornado without wind. Just a tornado of cold. And they actually still have those in northern Canada, northern Siberia, and the Netherlands.
Okay.
And you'll go in, like, there'll be certain areas where you walk into and the temperature drops 20 degrees in a mile.
Ooh.
Yeah, like, you think about that's insane. But during an ice age, expand that. So drop the temperature by 60 degrees within 10 meters.
Right.
And it's pretty much a flash freeze area. So anything in that that either walked into that area or that area when it moved went over would immediately they would almost freeze from the inside out.
Well, that sounds like that Day After Tomorrow movie. That's what happened in that.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where the science for that movie came from. Mm-hmm. It's actually an event that used to happen in the Ice Age.
Oh, who was the director for that movie?
I don't remember.
He's probably one of the ones in the know.
I don't know.
Well, he also did 2012, and that didn't exactly happen either. So
it's going to.
Oh, not yet.
Just wait. Yellowstone's
not
going
yet.
And Woody Harrelson will be there.
Oh, yeah.
Did you
Maybe
see
it
that?
did happen. We just popped into a different reality, and we didn't remember exactly what happened. Had a little case of amnesia
No, actually,
from traveling dimensions.
we're really all dead. You didn't know?
Right.
Fuck off. This is not an episode of Lost, Eric.
We all got blown up by Baker. Baker's just kind of
there's no bunker with the word DARPA on it, okay? Isn't there actually a DARPA?
Huh?
What was the name of that
DARPA's
movie
real.
again?
Mm-hmm. DARPA's real. If you if you believe the conspiracy people, but yes, the DARPA's a real thing.
DARPA's a real
believe it.
agency, yeah, or company.
Okay, wouldn't it have been really screwed up if, like, the creators of that show were just going with the conspiracy of DARPA, and that was actually the password to get into all their vaults?
DARPA?
That number.
DARPA?
The number that they released?
Mm-hmm.
666?
No, it was a really long number.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But, like, could you imagine being part of DARPA and you're watching this show and you're just like, oh no, and you got to change all the passwords now?
Yeah.
Just because they accidentally got it right by coincidence.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think it was either Northrop Grumman or DARPA that created the Harry Potter-like invisibility cloak for the military.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those two. I mean, they call it dragon skin. I don't think we have it yet. I don't think it's released to the military yet. I have no idea. This came out like 3-4 years ago.
Huh.
It's basically just a series of mirrors all etched in.
Roland Emmerich.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh,
Or
okay.
Emmerich.
The director?
Yeah, that's the director of that. But I don't know. Like, I've never heard that name in that way before.
He's...
The writer, wouldn't it? Not the director.
Well, he comes up with he writes a lot of his, or he's a co-writer on a lot of his movies. So, or getting story by. So, yeah, if anybody, he's behind most of his stuff. He does the heavy lifting on, from my understanding of what I've read. He's the one that pretty much advances. Those movies are all his ideas. It's him and he's got a partner, that a writing partner or a collaborator that, That they've worked together for years, and so yeah, they're the ones that come up with all their own stuff. They may see a snippet from somewhere, or they get an idea from a magazine article or something. But the story by almost entirely him and his writing partner.
Jeffrey Nash Manoff.
Sounds
Not pronouncing that correctly, but yeah, it says story and screenplay written by Roland Emmerich and Jeffrey. Okay. And Jeffrey, and I am horribly massacring this guy's last name. Sorry, dude. Nashmanoff?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Nashmanoff?
So
Anyway.
he focuses on disaster flicks, it sounds like. He did 2012 plus that one.
Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Independence Day was a disaster flick if you look alien disaster, but yeah.
That still classifies.
That's still a disaster.
Yep.
Let's hope that don't happen. Well,
Number 1 would classify. Number 2, not so much.
no, yeah, they kind of made money, so they kept on going with it.
Yeah,
Right.
we did Godzilla.
And there's a lot of similarities. There's personally, I thought number 2 was better.
Independence Day 2?
Yeah,
Independence
because it showed really what we would actually do.
Nikki?
Don't
True.
you think we would
Yeah.
actually? Oh, I don't know if that craft is friendly or not. Let's shoot it.
Nikki, you may be older than Eric, but he's
Right.
already gone senile, so like
I blame the army.
there's a lot of hope for you. Right?
I do. I blame the army.
I turned 55 on the 28th of this month, so
Oh, you're not far ahead of me.
no, not by much.
Oh, that's
A year? I think
Yep.
he said he was going to be 54 this year, and I'll
Yeah.
be 55. So,
In a week.
yep. And mine's
I'll be-
in 2.
Is it exactly a week?
54
No.
on the 25th. So I got 54 is right around the corner. I got it on the 25th of the month.
Hey, 54 is great. I'm telling you. You have a lot to look forward to at 54.
2.25
Oh,
weeks.
well. Yeah.
38 was rough.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's 3.
Friend, I'm
What's up?
not exactly excited for 39.
No?
No.
Why not?
Why?
So you're approaching the double the 40 mark?
Friend,
Don't worry, I
Yeah,
heard
but
the
there's-
end of the world is 2026. That's a
okay,
newest
I've always
prediction.
told everyone that I'm an old soul.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have the lifespan of the early caveman. So,
So 39?
I'm almost there, guys. Like, actually, if I take that route of the early caveman, I'm kind of an enigma that I've lived so long.
No, you got 20 more years. Actually, we all only have like 3 more years because yeah, 2026
There's a
is
number of
supposed to be the end
things
of the world.
that there's a number of things that I remember that go back almost, I was going to say as far back as what Keith has talked about, but not quite. He's actually, soul-wise, he's a little bit older than I am.
Friend,
We can remember a lot of the same stuff. It's actually really cool if you get the two of us talking about a lot of the same things. It's kind of creepy too, because we remember so many things. You talk about old souls. There's a lot of old souls this time around. A lot. A lot of us have incarnated this time around, and we're all in our most of us are in our 50s and 60s, and then the younger crowd are coming up behind and raising Cain.
well,
It's fascinating to me what everybody remembers and how far back they actually remember, whether it's their lifetimes or beyond being on Earth as a soul. Fascinates me no end.
I'm having a huge issue right now because one of the things I hoped and prayed for and have wanted to happen since I was 13 years old is going to happen before I turn 39. And I never actually expected it. No.
Oh.
And this is going to sound so freaking stupid, but I am a huge movie buff. And a movie that I have been asking for since I was 13 years old, since my dad actually allowed me to watch it, to get a sequel, is finally getting it.
Ghostbusters? Which one?
History of the World Part 1 is getting a sequel. History of the World Part 2
Yes.
comes March 30th. And I am so dead excited, but also at the point where I'm so freaking sad because 90% of the cast is dead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's also one of the things that I've wanted since I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
And now that it's going to happen, like, what the hell else do I hope for now? Like, yes, my kid's getting married and that kind of stuff, but at the same time, that means grandchildren and more little people.
That's what I'm waiting for. My kid's 30. I'm waiting. I'm like, come on, dude.
Well,
Mine are in their young teens, so I can definitely wait.
friend. Yeah, see, and that's the thing. I said that like 5 years ago, and now every day I sweat it out because I've got a 15-year-old and two 16-year-olds, and I'm like, God, please, not yet.
No, they got 5 more years.
Have
Okay, 5 more
have
months.
the virus and STD talking. That'll really put a kibosh on a lot of things.
Actually, you know what actually
Has it
did work for the oldest one? And that part doesn't. That's the worst part of that anymore. Friend.
Really?
Yeah. But you know what does?
What?
You tell them, hey, if you get her pregnant, you have to get a job. That works on this generation, apparently.
What? No more Fortnite?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, they got a lot of freedoms as kids, in a lot of ways, and a lot of other kids don't have freedom. So
Nope.
Yeah, I want to be a kid again. Like,
I think I'm happy where I'm at.
Frick no, I'm going on the playground. But I want to stay the same size. That way I rule the playground.
Oh God.
Oh,
I want y'all's honest opinion here. I was watching a Bigfoot YouTube interview with another psychic, Nikki, and she's hell bent and adamant that Bigfoot is a part of the Fae.
is it Robin?
Huh? I
Is
don't
the
know.
psychic Robin?
I don't know what her name is. I don't remember. I really don't.
I
But I'm sitting
don't-
here going, no. Hell no. No, Bigfoot's not Fae. No.
I totally disagree with that. Everybody's got their own opinion on it, and it is opinion. Unless
Right.
you are specifically in communication. Robin McCrae is an excellent psychic and an excellent person to talk to regarding Sasquatch,
I
in
don't
my
think-
opinion.
I don't think it was
And-
Rob. That name doesn't sound right.
Yeah, and she's with Duke Sullivan. She works with Duke Sullivan, who's part of World Bigfoot Radio. But yeah, I mean, unless you're having actual regular communication with them, and I'm not anymore. They're like, I'm taboo for some reason. I don't quite understand that. I don't know if it's because of the ETs or what the heck is going They'll come in maybe once a year to see me and check on me, and I'm like, I feel their presence and I smell them.
Mm-hmm.
That's always fun. And everybody else is like, what's wrong? And I'm like, don't you smell that? And they're like, no, what are you smelling? And I'm like, oh, for God's sake, seriously. And then I just turn around and go, hello, how are you?
And Robert, real quick, Robert, no, you know what? I don't talk to psychics. The only psychic I talk to is on Wednesday nights when Nikki's on the show.
Yeah, but now you're paying attention to another one, so we're just trying to start some drama in the chat room. Don't worry about it.
Fine. Anyway, no, I disagree that Sasquatch is Fae.
Now, is there room in my brain to accept that he could be? Absolutely, prove it. And don't take this the wrong way, Nikki. But somebody saying they talk to Sasquatch, to me, is not proof. Anybody can say that.
Yeah, but if you are another psychic and you get there's certain vibes I get from Robin, and I know she is who she says she is, and she's valid in what she talks. It's just there's a specific feeling I get from her, and I can't explain it. It's like how I know Keith is telling the truth about the ETs and a number of things that he talks about. It's the same part of intuition, psychic intuition, and it's how it is for me with Robin when I hear her talk about Sasquatch. But I've never once heard her talk about Sasquatch be Fae, and in my own personal opinion, based on what I was specifically told by Mama Sasquatch,
right,
the one that wants me calling her Mama, that's at Mount Baker, although I don't know if she's there right now. But anyway, they were basically brought here to Sasquatch was basically brought here to Earth. That is what I know.
By ET?
Now, Keith, based on what I understood.
Okay.
But Keith and I have a bit of a different take on it, but it's all in the same genre. It's all in the same. He says they're very much this way, and I'm like, yes and no. I kind of disagree with that because of this, but yet at the same time, I agree with. And it's just like it gets really muddled for me because what I understand from Mama and her first down, it's kind of like Picard's Riker, is number one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's got her number one, and I just never remember the and it's a male, and I never remember his name, but it's all that they were brought here to Earth.
Right.
And they have been here before humans were here.
Oh,
so
I have no doubt they're an ancient species, an ancient race, and so are Fae. I guess my problem is, I don't know what my problem is, honestly. But does Bigfoot interact with Fae? Absolutely. You can't say they don't, because most Fae are in wooded, forested areas. They're in the same environment as Bigfoot. So
but I can validate that because of an experience that I had over on the Washington Peninsula. The Fae and Sasquatch will protect each other.
Right. I have no doubt. I have no doubt about that.
Well,
I've seen it.
I also think things, definitions get lost in translation, where for one person, Fae could be protectors of the forest, and also Sasquatch could be protectors of the forest, and so the way that they're perceiving it could get lost in translation.
I'm pretty sure they have territorial conflict at times, depending on the situation.
Yeah, I believe. I would agree with that based on what I understand. But when the rubber meets the road,
their mission is both the same.
Yeah. they will back each other. If one is in trouble, they will back the other one up.
Right.
And there was a situation in the 1600s over on the Washington Peninsula, and I got shown that situation, and I got shown what Sasquatch and the Fae did together in order to protect the land. It was fascinating to me how they came together and worked together to protect the land for generations to come, hundreds of years later. I'm just like, wow. It blew my mind.
It's like humans and human-Fae relationships, you know? Some humans have great relationships with the Fae, and they work together symbiotically, and others don't even believe they exist or deny their existence, even if they're given constant reminders.
Whoa. There is a third group of people. I fully admit they exist.
4, 5, and 6, of course.
I fully admit they exist. But them little bastards are jackasses.
Oh, Fae?
Right.
Well,
and so
fairies.
there's going to be those subgroups of Sasquatch as well. Yeah. And, you know, even though they're not the same thing, in my definitions of Fae and my definitions of Sasquatch, I don't believe they're the same subspecies of interdimensional beings. No. But I do believe that they work together just like we can work with them.
Oh, absolutely. You know, that just rubbed me the wrong way because, like, no. Hell no. And they're both interdimensional in the sense that Fae have their own realm, and I think Bigfoot has their realm. Just my opinion. And why are you glaring at me?
I would tend to agree with that, Eric, because of what I've been told, and how I've been told it by different races of the Fae. Because I just had this conversation with somebody in your neck of the woods, so to speak, just tonight, actually, and she was asking, well, wait a minute, aren't the Fae fairies? And I'm like, no, honey, there's many races, many species, whatever you want to, but they all fall under the category of Fae.
Right.
And so,
fairies are Fae, but not all Fae are fairies.
Right.
Exactly.
Apple to fruit.
Yeah. And so what I understand is that they have their own realms. And sometimes they can interconnect or intermesh is not the word, but interconnect their realms together. And I don't quite understand that aspect of it, but I know it happens.
Right.
And I know it happens because of what I've been shown in different, like when I was over on, I was going to say Whidbey Island. That is not what I mean. San Juan Island in January of last year, 2022. We were literally driving. I was a passenger in the car, and literally in this forested area of this relatively large-sized park. And as we were slowly driving past, because there were a lot of speed bumps on the road, and I turn and I look and I see a huge portal open, and I could see fairies and different Fae in the portal, and I was like, let me out of the car. Get me out of the car. I want to go see. And I couldn't. We were on a time crunch. Otherwise, we'd miss the ferry. So.
But wait, was it the last ferry?
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
okay.
It wasn't the last ferry, but it was one.
You could have waited. Oh my God! You had the chance to go commune with a Fae, and you see the other ferry was going across the water. Come on!
As we were passing by, it opened for fractions of it was like maybe 2 seconds, 3 at the most, and then closed. And I could not, I kept trying to turn my body because we were, as we're driving away, we're going around a curve, and I'm like, no!
And you missed the chance to have tea and crumpets with the Fae. Seriously.
Oh, I wanted to walk through that, but, and there's some people that would just freak out at hearing me say that. Oh my God, you'd never. But I've had Sasquatch offer to take me through actually not just one, but a couple of their portals. And when I was first told that, I freaked the holy bleepity bleep out. I mean, I lost my marbles over that one. I thought it was the coolest thing, but it really freaked out. And it wasn't until a very close friend of mine said, "Do you trust them?" And I'm like, implicitly. I know who I'm dealing with. I would trust them with my life. And they're like, then what's your problem? And I'm like,
Right.
but I've got to have my shoes on. I got to have my coat on. I got to have my bag that's got all my emergency stuff in. And they're like, no, you just go. And I'm like, but no, that's not how I am. I went to school, high school, elementary, junior high, high school. You carried a backpack with emergency stuff in it. I was always Johnny on the spot or Josephine on the spot, because if there was something you needed, you had it in your backpack, period. Yeah. And I'm still that way. I'm still that woman to this day. So, so that's what I think about. But do they, do they interconnect somehow? I know they do. And I don't, there are other things that I've been shown in my higher consciousness when I've been in 6 places at one time. And it's different than it's similar than bilocating, but it's different than bilocating. And I've seen it. I've seen where some of those portals or those openings interconnect and mesh. But then I've also seen them release themselves, separate, and close individually. So have I witnessed that with my human eyes? No, I've seen it in my higher consciousness as if I were an astral, but it wasn't an astral. It was with my higher consciousness. So, but I have seen it, and it's freaky. I mean, it's very, very freaky. So I know it happens,
right?
But how do you realistically sit down and truly describe it to somebody with all of its, oh my God, and glory? Because it really is a stunner.
Well, and it's hard to describe other dimensions from this dimension.
Yes.
Put it into words.
Well,
and it's funny that you say Whidbey Island, because my first fairy experience was when I was really young. I grew up on Whidbey Island, and I was in the forested little area between where we kept our pigs and our horse. It was like the little path going up to the well, and I saw some little mushrooms, and then I crouched down, and I must have only been 6 or 7 years old, really young, and just crouched down, and I thought I saw a little frog, and so I went to look for the frog, and then all of a sudden there was 2 little fairy fae creatures. It was only for maybe 3 seconds, and it was like a glimpse into their portal, and then all of a sudden it was gone. I got startled by something, or my thoughts took me away from it. But there was definitely an air of fascination, and it was, like you said, an interdimensional experience where you're seeing many different realms at once. It was very fascinating.
Yeah. I'm in daylight, now this is the experience when I was in the car. I'm in broad daylight. Granted, you've got light coming through the trees, and it was an overcast day, but it's broad daylight. And you're looking at an opening that is a circle I'm trying to think of what size it was. It wasn't horribly big, but I'm 5'3", 5'2", 5'3", and it's tall enough for me to walk through. And I'm looking at, it's dark on their side, but I can see forest. And beautiful, lush forest. You can see dirt and ground, a very specific color, vibrancy. I can't even begin to describe the colors. They were so vivid.
I've heard that described by someone who was given fairy sight in the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and I've been told, Keith, I'm just going to call you Keith, sorry, Eric. I've been told by a number of individuals that I have some kind of fairy something in my soul. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? I mean, I've been told a number of different things, so the only way I know how to describe it is something that is related to the fairies in my soul. And I'm like, explain what you mean by that. And they try to explain it, yet I cannot explain how they explained it to me, because it's so beyond what I can fathom in my mind. Right. And yet I've experienced all these other experiences that I can fathom, I can grasp onto sometimes. It might take me a little bit longer. But when it comes to the Fae, I mean, and that's why I've been told by a couple of psychics, well, you've been blessed by the fairies. I'm like, well, yeah, it was witnessed by a number of people. I was literally covered in fairy dust. I had the king of the Fae standing literally less than a foot from my right shoulder with his long, skinny fingers coming down over my shoulder, where his fingers were so long they nearly touched the front of the breast, shall we say, because he was such a tall being. And his thumb was on my back. I mean, it went down my shoulder blade. I mean, you're talking very tall, very statuesque, beautiful beings.
Now,
and this is a royalty being.
But the other point I wanted to bring out with Bigfoot is they seem to think he's extraterrestrial. Now, in your experience as an abductee, have you ever seen a Bigfoot on your craft?
Not that I remember. I know this. They tried to protect me. They kept me grounded when the ETs tried to take me when I was up at Mount Baker in summer 2019.
And that leads me to believe that most of your Bigfoot
there's clans
they're aggressive against the ET, I guess. Not necessarily working with them. There
are some that do and some that don't. Depends on the severity.
That goes with what Keith said. So if you go by Keith's theory, there is an extraterrestrial Bigfoot that is much shorter than our earthbound ancient race Bigfoot here. And they are a lighter color. They're a lighter color brown, and they're only about 5 foot tall.
Yeah, aren't they the ones that are in, I think those are the ones that are in, like, Florida, the swamp apes.
No, they've been so...
We talking the same ones?
I think so.
They're really aggressive?
They're really aggressive, but they also appear by orb.
Oh, yeah.
And wouldn't it also depend on what the intergalactic species' intentions were? Like, if their intentions were to just to look over you and...
I've heard reports. I've heard reports right there in Darrington. I'm not talking about the orb last week. I'm talking about orbs that are seen floating through the woods, not in the air as in an ET vessel, but
Have you talked
orbs.
to Karen recently?
Huh? Who?
Yeah, that's what my husband saw in our yard here in Darrington area.
Mm-hmm.
Have you talked to Karen recently?
No.
You need to talk to Karen.
Last time
Talk
Karen
about
reached...
orbs, you need to talk to Karen.
Okay. Last I knew with Karen, they were making a movie up there.
I don't know about that, but she was talking about a lot of orbs.
Okay, but she's had orbs all around Glacier for for years. That's not new.
No, but she's talking different colors now, and that's new.
Okay.
Fantastic.
At least how I understand.
Yeah, that was curious about something, you said last week about, Swede Haven moving into the Mandela effect.
Yep.
I always, ever since I was like 20 years ago, it's always been Swede Haven. Aven. And SWEDEE.
Yep.
EDE, and then HAVEN. And now, I just about 6 months ago heard somebody talking about it, Sweet Heaven Road, and I'm like, what? You mean Sweet Haven? And they're like, no, it's Sweet Heaven ever since I moved in about 8 months ago. And I'm like, what? And last time I drove by it, every time it says Sweet Heaven. And I just and you said, not knowing any of that, you said Sweet Haven while we were talking about the light.
It's always
and I'm like, yeah, see, it's Sweet Haven. It's always been that.
It's always been Sweet Haven that I've seen.
There's a little local Mandela effect there. I mean, the only other explanation is that somebody hit the sign, and then when they went to print the sign, they just didn't know that it used to be called Haven and reprinted it wrong, and they just kept the sign. I mean, that's the only other logical explanation.
Yeah, and then new people are going to see the new
all
sign.
All the newbies call it Sweet Heaven, and all the old school people call it Sweet Haven. So, yeah.
So, Rick,
what do you think on that?
Have you ever had a Mandela? What?
Let's answer her. Okay, there is a possibility with that one, and we would actually have to research that one and actually see if the town, or is it a county road or is it a town road?
Sweet Heaven's.
I'm not sure. It's right off of the highway.
So
yeah, I think Sweet.
Pretty sure. I think that's
county. Yeah.
So we'd actually have to look at the county meeting minutes and see if they actually changed the name.
Yeah, that'd be the only mundane way you could verify it.
Because it's a possibility. It's happened before.
And then you move in 8 months later, and it's Sweet Heaven now. I mean, to them.
That one can actually be just a literal spelling mistake.
Yep.
If someone hit the sign and the work order started stating that they needed to make a new sign for Sweet Heaven Road instead of Haven.
Yep. Well,
it is a possibility they just changed the road name because they made a spelling error on the work orders.
Isn't Sweet Haven a whole community, or is it just a road?
Well, it's a community, but it's named after the road.
It's based off the road. Okay. Because there's a
lot of... it's the area that's surrounding that road is Sweet Haven.
And I hear a lot of unusual activity that happens in that area.
Yes, it does. It has a great view of the mountains from there, and so it's
White Horse?
Of White Horse and Mount Higgins, and so both mountains on either side, and it is just really beautiful, breathtaking, picturesque. I mean, if I was Fae or Sasquatch or even aliens, I'd be definitely checking out this place. It's amazing.
Well, Higgins is actually where Higgins Pass is actually where I went and investigated a Bigfoot sighting.
Ooh, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. Super secluded, especially now that they've cut off the roads at Oso. You used to be able to drive up there.
Okay.
Now you have to have special passes to ungate it.
And that's off Mountain Loop Pass, isn't it? Or Mountain Loop Road?
Mount Higgins is the one on the north side of 530.
Okay.
Yeah,
and before
and you can get to it from Walker Valley kind of area as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because actually, before we even got to the Bigfoot area, we got out of the truck and made some knocking noises and got knocks back in that area as well.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a heavy Bigfoot population up there.
So,
Oh,
Along
I
with
forgot to
UFO.
get that map for you.
Yes, you did.
Damn, I just remembered that. I
It's
even
okay,
have
it's
it
okay.
written down. Hang on. Write it down again. So I'm gonna write it on my hand.
all right, let's go with the Rick now.
Sorry.
Rick, have you ever had
Yes,
a
sir.
Mandela effect?
I was trying to. You asked, and I was like, "Oh, thankfully Cole gave me an out," so I was looking for examples that I could try to find. So I guess no. I mean, I know that I have because I've had the experience where I've seen this come up and either on Google or other places, and I was like, no, I know for a fact that sports. I listen to a lot of sports talk, and I know I've had things where I'm like, I know I saw what I saw,
Mm-hmm.
and no, this never happened, or I know I've heard the stat, or deja vu, definitely. I've experienced deja vu many times.
We'll get to deja vu once we cover Mandela.
Yep. Okay, but Mandela, yeah. But specific instances, I couldn't tell you of one right now, but I have experienced it. It's almost. I know it's almost entirely related to sports because it's something that I spend a great deal of time in, and especially with statistics. And I know, and having watched so many games, and different sports and across different, and so I've seen this happen, and no, it never happened. Well, that's nonsense because I remember it. So
do you think
And you're not the only
Mandela?
one, and that's the thing.
But do you think Mandela is human error? Like a changed work order, human memory slip. I mean, is it possible?
Not all of them.
it.
I'm just
No.
bringing the argument up.
It's when they're collective, and that's why it's like, how could it be just human error when there's hundreds of people that remember the same thing happening on their TV on that same night?
Right.
You know,
Well, okay, so I have a thing.
like
that
the Chicago White Sox in the World Series, you know, and there's there's so many different sports ones that are coming up.
But wait,
want
what about
to
the
ask
White Sox in
something.
the World Series?
What about it? So it's not only
Yeah.
is Chicago a bona fide sports town, but it's home to several championship teams. The Bulls, the Blackhawks, the Cubs, and the Bears, and the White Sox. For whatever reason, several outlets have a tendency to think or forget that the Chicago White Sox won the World Series in 2005.
Yes, they beat my
In
Houston
two separate
Astros. I can
instances
verify
of
that.
reporting. Right. And ESPN forgot to include Chicago White Sox. And so in 2016, the Twitter account CBS Morning Show even shared the false fact that the city had not even seen the event in 71 years. Yet in truth, the tweet was sent the last time the city saw the World Series was 11 years ago. So there's, it could just be a
bad journalism.
discrepancy.
Yeah.
Right. It could just be a discrepancy, or it could be that they went into an alternative timeline where they didn't actually do that. So curious, you know.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. I am verifying something.
Yeah.
Do you think Do you think? And I'm not talking a god or a deity or anything like that, but do you think there is a supernatural power that is altering events to make things change for one reason or another?
No.
Okay.
It depends on how you define supernatural power, because there is the creator God inside of ourselves, and we could be shifting our timelines every moment and going into different dimensions and timelines and shifting through our higher God self. So
But-
in that
But
sense,
for
yes,
what
in another
purpose, though?
sense, maybe to show us that we are much more powerful than we ever knew.
Only
Show
if
us
you
that it
notice.
is not, life isn't really as rigid as we think it is.
Right.
Show us that there are alternatives and that there is many ways to look at the same event.
But how often do you notice a Mandela effect?
How often do I notice it?
Yeah.
Maybe like once a month or so now. I used to notice it like when I first started to figure it out. I was like seeing it all the time. I was like, whoa, and that, and even that. But now it's, just once a month or every couple months, there's something strange that you just can't explain away, and I think one of the most curious ones are the ones from my childhood where I really thought I knew something and everyone else seems to think that they remember that as well, like the Snow White one, where the queen talks about the mirror.
Mirror,
What did
on
she
the wall.
say? Right, that's what I remember.
Yep.
But I pulled out our VHS after finding out that it didn't say that, and the VHS was taped up in a box from our move from Everett when we moved out here. VHS from when I was a kid. We pulled it out, and the kids went up and watched it. They came down screaming. They're like, "It says magic mirror!" And they remember it saying "mirror, mirror on the wall" when they were younger, just a few years earlier when we lived in the other house. And so they're like, no, because they didn't believe me. I was like, it says. And they're like, no way, we're going to watch it. So they went and unpacked it, pulled it out, and watched it. And lo and behold, I had to go up and watch it myself to believe it. And it said magic mirror on the wall, the fairest of them all. And I was just shocked. I was like, okay, there's definitely much more to this. Because that's the one that really hit home. Because one of the chapters in my book is called Mirror, Mirror. And it talks a lot about our like reflection of one another and how that casts the reality that we're experiencing. But I use that specifically as a play on that line. Mm-hmm. And now it's changed. It's like, what the heck? You just can't make this stuff up.
Well, so I am not the biggest believer in a lot of the Mandela effects. I believe a lot of them are sheer consciousness of will and shared consciousness of the internet age. But I'm going to go full out devil's advocate on this. Do you guys think it's a possibility that it's a government experiment gone right?
Or gone wrong.
No, we're at the point now where they've pretty much perfected it. They have gotten it to the point where anything they want, in that sense, no matter how much we want to believe it is the other thing, they have us convinced it's not. They have irrefutable proof.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, what if Bigfoot, the Fae, and other cryptids across the world are the first experiments gone wrong of the Mandela effect? What if they are the first things that we were forced to forget? But because it was the first part of this experiment, it didn't work for everyone.
Right.
And we are still finding proof of them in individual senses. There's a lot of things you can put together on it because we can never catch a Bigfoot on tape.
Nope.
Right?
Nope.
We can never catch him really a good picture of him.
There's still no solid proof. There is.
No.
And it would also explain why when you get too close, all of a sudden there's government agents. Why would the government be involved in a Bigfoot investigation?
So
the National Guard, for example, up at Mount St. Helens.
But it would explain the video ones. They finally actually perfected a way to make every videotape that should not be able to be changed.
Right.
Change. But when they first started it, it didn't quite work. So we got blurry pictures. We've got all kinds of things
Mm-hmm.
that still came out kind of as proof.
Right. So it's kind of like the quantum entanglement where because these digital recordings or, VHS recordings are all linked to an original, if you change the original, then maybe somehow quantumly across the field it changes all of them. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah.
How it would explain like this one that would then like packed up and it was from my childhood and all that, how it could actually possibly get changed purposely.
Yes.
That would make sense.
So what if part of our paranormal world is the original experiments of the Mandela?
Well, look at the Philadelphia experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Right, when they went through the ship.
Huh?
I tried. I hit my head on the metal.
So supposedly they were transporting a battleship back in time.
Right.
Right.
And when it came
Well-
back, everyone was mutilated and basically welded into the metal.
Right.
Could that have been
Well,
their first attempt at Mandela?
Well, but what if Mandela, on that note, what if Mandela is just a side effect? How many times have we
Like it could be a
tried
side
to
effect
mess
from
with
CERN.
time? Yeah, well,
It
not
could
even
be.
CERN, but like we've tried to mess with time with the Bell, the Philadelphia experiment.
Yep.
Fran. But
Yeah,
every
like
time,
anytime you're
now,
trying
the
to
Philadelphia-
shift timelines or shift time travel, it has an effect like in the old
Yeah.
cartoons when you step on a bug and you come back and you're in a different world.
yeah, it's so. What if the Mandela effect is a side effect of the butterfly effect?
Right.
Or the government played so many,
Definitely a very popular theory.
Right.
or the
Well,
government played so many experiments with time slips, with portals, with dimensions that, like you said, this is the effect of them messing with shit they shouldn't have been messing with.
Well, yeah, the Philadelphia experiment wasn't
Exactly.
designed as a time travel. It was supposed to be. They were trying to find ways to
Cloak.
stealth mode. They were trying to make the ships invisible, and so they were
Right,
messing
okay.
with
Okay.
electromagnetic equipment and stuff that they were using. They were trying to make it invisible, and as a result, whatever the equipment they were using or something there was a miscalculation, and then they teleported.
It's like
It did get
That's a
invisible
bull-
for a moment, and then when it came back visible, they were like falling into the metal.
Right,
That's a polite
all
way
of
of saying
that's
it.
right, but yes, again, it's our government messing around with things they don't need to be messing around, which goes into the Mandela effect would be maybe they found a way to collectively erase our memories or the crew's memories on it, or at least change it. So,
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm that positive guy. Okay, so like the experiment kind of worked. Some of the guys, you couldn't see them afterwards.
No, they're kind of they're kind of melted a little bit. Hey, look, the metal turned red. Oh,
Yeah.
oh wait, that's Joe's shirt. Oh, yeah. But what if what they did obviously didn't make the ship invisible per se, but what if it ripped a dimensional shield or a dimensional?
Right.
Ripped a hole in time.
Yeah,
In the
yes,
time-space
that
continuum.
we can't fix now. So every once in a while it rotates around and hey, it's magic mirror on the wall. So yeah.
Well, there has been stories of sometimes people experiencing it change, and then all of a sudden it's changed back, and then it changes again, and so that could be an explanation of that if you're popping in and out.
So maybe the government started the process, and now we have CERN playing with other shit that they shouldn't be playing with, and it's continuing or making things worse. And then, of
Right.
course, you got MK Ultra, mind control.
right.
That could even play a part in it.
Absolutely. And then it could also be our own higher selves communicating to us and letting us know that we are indeed co-creators of this reality, and we're shifting timelines.
So you got 5 theories right there.
Mm-hmm.
The curious one about CERN is that it could definitely be that, sending a particle through time could do something to our reality here. But the curious part to me is that Sally Field, I don't remember which one it actually is right now, but the one that it used to be isn't the one it is now, and her name. And her uncle actually worked for CERN. So that's a curious thing. And then there's also like a few other Mandela effects that affect Sally Fields. And like there's the one on Forrest Gump where he says, Mom always said life is like a box of chocolates. Mm-hmm. But really now it says life was like a box of chocolates. And who was the mom? Sally Fields. There's like several different ones. I can't remember. Oh, there's the you like me, you really, really like me. Mm-hmm. And now she, when she accepted some award on TV, like back in the 80s, and she now says, you like me, right now you like me. And it just doesn't make sense because there was all these spoofs. Yeah. about her saying, you like me, you really, really like me, and like Jim Carrey, he gets this award in one of like the Mask or something, and he does a spoof on it. And there's all these spoofs about these lines, and then all of a sudden the original changes, but the spoofs don't change, and they are like what they call residuals of the real, what people do remember on the collective.
Well, and the funny thing to me about that is now in Hollywood, half the people there wish the Mandela effect would just happen to them half the time. They're like, why won't people just forget this? Friend. I'm very torn because I love science. I really do. I love the idea of CERN. I don't love the application of it.
Yeah.
It really bothers me that we create that much energy and just shove it into the earth.
Right.
Well, it concerns me that they're messing around with miniature black holes because
and dark matter.
Yes.
What concerns me is how much money they're piping into those experiments when we have people that are like barely even able to afford their gas and eggs right now. So it's definitely concerning.
I'm okay with science. We need money spent on these things, but yes, you're right. I don't know that particular part of science is where we need to be investing our money. Better ways to grow crops.
So we can label the smallest particles.
Yeah, or maybe we should be working on ways to fight the climate change instead of messing around with, dark matter and all sorts of other nasty things that could make our little world go kablooey.
Well, but that's the thing. Over half the experiments at CERN are to fight climate change. They are. You got to remember, it's not just the Large Hadron Collider at CERN.
No, there's a whole bunch of different labs and whatnot.
Yeah, and over half of them are working. The thing is, no, HAARP's different. HAARP is totally different because CERN has one thing that any of the other laboratories pretty much in the world don't. No government funds it.
No, that's all universities and...
Nope.
Well, universities help.
Universities are not allowed to fund CERN.
Oh, no? Okay.
All the money has to come
from... big bankers?
It's private companies. A private company has to endorse the idea and then fund everything.
From the project.
Of the things that they have already been able to come up with at CERN, all of them have been privately funded. So, on that sense, Harmony, I get what you're saying by some people can't afford basic needs. At the same time, we don't have the right to tell anyone how to spend their money, and it's because it's privately funded.
Yeah.
There's not much we can do there.
That was certain.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying allocation-wise, like they could be doing a lot more for
So,
Well, but
the
that's
individual.
that's the other part. They did try, and they got told to stop it because all of a sudden everyone's concerned because we're looking at genetically modified food.
right?
It's science. That's what they do. They try and come up with different ways to promote growth. And what most people don't realize is there isn't really a piece of grain on the earth right now that isn't genetically modified anymore.
yeah.
And it's just how much it is.
Even the heritage seeds, you can't guarantee our heritage seeds anymore.
Oh, they're not.
I mean, honestly.
We can pretty much guarantee they're not.
GMO's been around since, what, the 70s?
Well, it's not even that. Think pesticides.
Well, and that's one of the problems with inflammation
Yeah.
these days is because our ancestors, when they made our DNA and they were identifying protein markers, they didn't take into consideration these extra proteins that are being put in genetically modified foods.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, when we put them in our body, it's giving us an inflammatory response saying, get this toxin out of me. This is not food. That's been scientifically proven.
Oh, yeah. But the thing is, every experiment you do, friend,
Oh, it's 11/11.
it's the
Yeah.
main reason that they wanted to continue experimenting is because they wanted to make it safer. And they wanted to also
Right.
make it bigger at the same time, but every point of it is to make it completely safe. But no one wants to listen to that. They want to know what's happening to them right now, and where's all the money for this coming from? And for example, Wonder Bread. Wonder Bread went through a huge thing in the 90s where their stock dropped
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
everyone thought that Wonder Bread was GMO. Like hardcore. When all this was starting to be introduced. And it wasn't. It's just they were one of the main supporters of it. Because they figured the faster they could grow grain, the more bread they could produce to lower their cost and prices.
And,
Right.
you know what, to be honest, since we're on social issues, you can pipe as much money you want into the homeless, into the drug addiction, into all that shit. People are not going to, you're going to give them all money and, give them all houses. Not all want houses. You can't help people unless they want to be helped.
Absolutely.
So you're not going to fix the homeless
No, but
problem.
the people that do want a house and the people that do
No,
want to be able to,
I get it.
get from one place to the other, and like my kids, literally, if they eat anything that's freaking not organic, they get rashes. They freaking get sick. It took us like 4 years to figure out what was going on, and it was the wheat, the sugar, and the rashes, and the modified food and everything. And I actually, since I stopped eating it, I've lost like 70 pounds. And I felt like I had a near-death experience. I thought I was going to die from my health. And my whole health has shifted since I started growing my own foods, foraging, and eating very clean. So, and a lot of homemade food. So it does make a big difference on our quality of life and the extension of life too.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's definitely an important factor in all of the social issues, of course. But like you said, it is a privately owned sector, and in that there is definitely, a lot of money funneling. Mm-hmm. So, we've got to look at the bigger picture on all of this and look at how things are being allocated really in the larger.
And the only way to really fix that is to get corporations out of politics, and that ain't going to happen.
Yes.
That's a big part of it.
The biggest part of it is to get rid of politics.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Honestly, and I would love to see a world where the way you live, harmony, would work for everyone. But at the point we're at now in history, we would need a huge, huge shift. And I don't mean politically, I don't mean economically, and I don't mean even thought-wise, really. Our population would need to drop by half.
I think they're working on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the plan. But I do believe that the beginning is teaching people sustainability. And, like, there is a way to do it. And it really comes down to returning to our indigenous ways of understanding our connection with the earth. And that is what I teach. And there is a huge consciousness shift. And that also ripples out into our reality. We vote with every dollar that we make and that we spend. And with every action that we put out there into the world is, aligning us to the reality and the timelines in which we are going to experience in the future.
Fran, I think the biggest issue is at this point, if we did it with 8 billion people on Earth, if we tried to just make that shift, Fran, we would lose half the population.
Right.
Because most of them couldn't survive.
Because there hasn't been a good transition. There's been a neglect of information and education on all the levels, mind, body, and spirit.
But even if you got everyone to actually start growing their own food, foraging, and everything, Fran, the housing market hasn't disappeared.
Nope.
But half the jobs would.
Right.
Yep.
Fran, we would have to get rid of our entire money system. We would have to get rid of our government systems.
Oh my God, no!
Everything.
We'd have to be Star
Go
Trek.
through the roof.
Yeah. Well, no, Star Trek has replicators, so that doesn't really count.
Well,
that's the end process that I want.
There's many timelines that are able to play out, so it's how you connect to which timeline.
I want to speak into my phone and say Earl Grey tea hot.
Yeah. With Star Trek, they operate on the notion that they've moved into this utopian. We've moved past all the different individual governments, and we're all a collective, and it's a nice concept, but unfortunately, leaders especially tend to like being in charge, and businessmen tend to like to have money, and that's why communism never really works.
Greed,
right?
Greed and boredom. Greed and boredom would take over.
No, you just gotta realize, it is a possibility, but you gotta think of Star Trek, the entire universe, and take it to one world. Put every creature, every animal, everything in the universe onto one world. You still end up with the fucking Borg.
Yep.
And they are the most dangerous creature in the world.
I like Robert's idea. I like the Purge.
You'd freak out in the Purge because you have too many people to protect. Don't even.
I have 4.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you have cats and dogs too.
Nope.
I will not assimilate. Shut up.
Yeah, I definitely think that there is an opening of the mind in possibilities and ways to manifest. And there's also a cracking open of the deceptions and lies, and a revealing of the mysteries, the occult, and the hidden, what has been hidden from us. And with the, connection with the technology and social media and things like that, we actually have a different vantage point than we have had for, generations and centuries, really. So if you look at the exponential growth spiral of the golden mean, it's imprinted everywhere in nature. Therefore, it must be imprinted within consciousness and time as well. And so if we're awakening, if we are, and then a lot of these people, I mean, there's been so many times in my life where I was not super conscious, where I was very wrapped up in the third dimensional world and survival and, you know, just partying and, or, you know, just, the mundane or, you know, physical achievements. But there's been many people like that, including myself, that I can see that have started to think on a more broader collective basis where, you know, we don't have to all think the same, but we all do, you know, interconnect our being and our purpose. You know, one person can grow a whole field of corn and the other person can grow a whole field of beans, and then, you know, the neighborhood has everything we need here.
Well,
like when I go to the IGA market, which I don't very often because they don't even have organic food there. Sorry, IGA, but you don't. They should have, you know how many farmers are located out in these areas and there's no fresh farm food? Like, what is that? That's unreal. There's no farmers markets out here unless you go up to Concrete. It's unreal.
Harmony, just for you personally, did you know that the owner of Darrington IGA has stated that if you ask for something specifically, he'll bring it in just for you?
Oh yes, yeah. They have stated that, but that doesn't really happen.
Right.
I have made requests, and they've had things in for like 2 months, and then they get them right back out.
Right.
And I told them I would spend a lot more money at their store if they brought in organic fruits and vegetables, but I still don't see any there. So
because Darrington seems to be getting a younger crowd, you'd think they'd start catering to them.
You would think.
You'd think.
You still got the
They're
old
not
blood
the only ones that have
everything.
requested as well. So.
You still got the old blood.
But, you know, it's
just like
expensive.
here.
The thing about it is they charge an arm and a leg to ship it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people still don't have that mentality of wanting it, and so it sits there and rots.
Well,
and it's a loss for the store.
Darrington IGA is still a locally owned company, so he can't really
Yes.
eat the cost of them shipping it.
Yes, exactly.
That's the stupid part.
Yep.
Friend.
And then they charge you 10 times as much as what you could buy it if you drive down to another store.
Yeah.
And that's the other problem. Is I can't, you know, spend, you know, twice as much or 3 times as much on the same item. I would
No,
just rather
No, I get that.
get it on my way to work.
It's cheaper to grow on your own.
Friend,
yeah, and network and, you know, do food share and foraging and they say money doesn't grow on trees, but you know how much money I save every year by picking berries? I'll tell you.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on all this, Nikki?
Nikki's muted.
Nikki, unmute yourself. Stop laughing.
Friend,
She's in there laughing.
I like.
She's telling us what she thinks telepathically.
Finally, I got it. I'm multitasking, and yes, I was chuckling. Okay, the things on what Harmony is talking about, I've done that. I did that in the 90s and early 2000s with growing our own food and doing all of that, and making jams and jellies and own bread and tortillas on a weekly basis. And yeah, I've been there, done that. Not in that position anymore to do all of that.
Well, you can. Are you in an apartment?
Yeah.
Do you have a balcony?
There are things that I could do regarding jam making and that kind of thing, but I don't eat jam anymore. I rarely eat bread anymore.
Oh, okay.
Way of life is completely different because of my health. And so it's very, very, very different for me. So I still do the herbs and things like that, and I'm still known for, I was going to say dealing with herbs. I was just thinking, well, that's going to come out the wrong way.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I used to grow my own herbs and everything from chamomile to fennel to, I mean, all kinds of different things. Nothing illegal.
It's not illegal anyway. It's legal here.
Well, it's not now, but it would have been back then. And so, yeah, and nothing illegal now. I mean, you live in an apartment building. You've got property rules, and because it's a federal issue, you cannot be in any apartment community. There are rules and regulations that you have to sign, and one of them is not doing any kind of smoking pot or anything like that, because it's still classified as a federal offense, and that's what they go off of.
Right.
But you could have a balcony garden or an apartment garden.
Yeah, and I do.
Right, and that's just not enough to feed somebody.
Yeah,
and their children and all that. So I get what you're saying, you know.
Yeah, and I have basil and basil, thyme, and what am I missing? Mint, 2 different kinds of mint, and a couple of other things. But yeah,
I suck at growing mint.
And a few flowers and things like that make it kind of pretty. And then of course I've got the different things that I grow inside, like my cactuses and things like that, things that I've had for years and years. But regarding, God, I'm going through a brain fart now.
Population decline.
Say that again. What?
Population decline.
Population decline. Thank you. Yeah, that has very much, globally, we have very much taken a major hit on that. And
but do you think
where I
that's
stand,
but like Cole said, do you think that's what's needed for this planet and this society in the global side to survive?
Yeah, that gets into a whole nother subject with me. On one hand, is it needed? Yes and no. On one hand it is, on another hand I completely, totally freaking disagree with it. But the problem is that nobody is truly dealing with what needs to be done. They're dealing with all the crap, the minutia, instead of going in and getting their hands really dirty and dealing with what needs to take place. And if they don't quit twiddling their freaking thumbs, if what I saw in the 2 major downloads that I received, the next 400 years, 100 to 400 years, is going to be a God-blessed nightmare on this planet. And
I've got 40 more to go.
There's some really strong evidence. I was shown names of companies, and there's only 2 individuals that I've ever talked about this with, but I've never named companies. There's only 2 companies that I know in this timeline that stay in 100 years from now, 200 years, 300 years from now.
Wait. Is what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, okay. So that movie was wrong.
But I've never named names, and I'm not going to. But the thing of it is that what I saw 200 years from now and 400 years from now scared the crap out of me. And it was a partial psychic download combined with an ET download. And I was being shown what happens in our future timelines. Now, future timelines can change.
Right.
But the thing is that we have to make it change.
And that's not
That's
going to
not
happen.
that's not happening right now.
No, it's not going to happen.
That's not happening
and-
right
and-
now.
and-
Maybe
and
it
I'm-
is happening, though.
No,
But
here's
something I know.
I
Here's
don't
something
mean to, I don't mean to sound like a
ETs
negative Nelly, but oh my God.
Here's what I know. The ETs are not a happy camper. The many races of ETs who are doing abductions, they are not happy because I have been consistently told, as others have been, as other ET abductees I've talked to, and I'm not just talking recently, I'm talking over months worth of time here. Many people are saying the same thing. I'm hearing this from the ETs. And I'm like, okay, what is it you're hearing? I'm getting told the same thing from the ETs, and that is our DNA has been changed because of what has been done. Now, here's the conundrum. It's screwing with what's going to happen with our humanity. It's screwing with what's going to happen with our biology in the future. That is
Our
a
DNA is also being changed with every thought
huge nightmare
that we're having
It is
and our actions, and we
it's a
can change our
huge-
own DNA from the inside out.
Yeah, and you have to know how to do that, and and if you don't know how, then you have to learn how. How many people are actually going to do that, though? How many people are
It's a
actually...
ripple effect. It's have you heard of the 100th monkey?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
The 100th monkey, it's a scientific study where they studied these monkeys on several different islands, all on the coast of Asia. And in the study, they found that when one band of monkeys, when a certain percentage of these monkeys started to adapt to a new trait, that all of them across all of the islands instantaneously started to adapt to a new trait. So it's called a critical mass, and it's a certain percentage of the population has to reach this critical mass, and that is happening.
So
and that's
that shows,
what's happening with humans.
That shows the conscious.
Well, and it's shifting DNA instantaneously throughout many.
The other thing is that we, as humans, can change our own, as individuals, can change our own DNA. But it's by our own, and people are going to say, oh, you're full of shit. No, by God, go do your freaking research. Every human on this planet can significantly change what happens with their body. It's not just a matter of food and what goes on the skin and what goes in the body. It's about it's about thought, but it's also about frequency and what you resonate at. There are huge things of huge pieces of information. God, I'm not using my words right. Sorry, guys. I can't pull it out of my head at the second. There's a lot of information about whether you're dealing with cancer patients or people who are exceedingly ill, where they themselves have healed themselves by forms of combination of visualization, by forms of manifestation, by forms of literally changing their bodies and brain's frequency.
And biochemistry, absolutely.
Yes. There are ways to go about it.
I've done it to myself, and I've facilitated healing for many other people to do it to themselves. So I know it's possible because I've witnessed it and experienced it 100%.
I've seen it too.
And like you said, it has to do with frequency. And frequency of what we're putting in our bodies, what we're putting on our bodies, and what we're letting resonate out of our bodies and emit from our own core.
Correct. And it's...
on that one, though, I am going to say it may be possible, but it might not be possible for everyone. You guys do have to admit that.
Oh, I
think
know
it's
that.
possible for
Because-
everyone.
Because
I think it's possible.
It is
Do you?
possible, but about
so
choices.
I
It comes
know,
down to choices.
yeah, but I know a few people that have done everything they could, and not Western medicine. I mean, they ate right. They didn't add anything to their bodies that would harm them. They stopped everything. Friend,
But there was still a level of fear that was inundating.
Yeah,
And
that's the
that's
key.
usually the
for them,
anchor
no.
of
But that's the
of
thing.
it.
That's the thing. These people were completely at peace with it, and they honestly believed they were going to live. So,
And they die.
but what you're saying, yeah, and that's the thing. Would you be willing
Or
to
so
sell
maybe
their-
they died in your reality because your frequency no longer matched their frequency, but they didn't actually die. They just went into an alternate dimension in
Harmony
which
but Harmony,
you are perceiving them as dying.
would you be
That's
willing to
what
tell their
Dolores Cannon
6-year-old
often
daughter
talks
that?
about. Right.
Would you be willing to tell their 6-year-old daughter that? That's the thing. Friend, when you say
Right.
that, you got to realize
Yeah,
how it's going to affect everyone around that person too. Friend, because now
Well,
they believe
my
that.
dad is passed, and I've had some soul searching, and that's the understanding that my guides have let me know, and that resonates with my truth. And everyone's truth is different, and so that's their reality is a reflection of your truth and your subconscious programming. And it's not your fault; it just is, But everyone has the same human potential.
Yeah, I disagree on that, but friend,
Anyway, deja vu. What do you think deja vu is? So, my thoughts, I believe in reincarnation. I believe you come back, if you want to live another life. And I think deja vu, there's two thoughts to this. I know a lot of people, you guys will probably think this way, but deja vu could be you in another reality doing the same thing, or you've done it before. If you look at the reincarnation side, you've done it in a past life. What's your thoughts?
I believe possibly that past, present, future is all happening at the same time.
Okay.
And instead of being like maybe a past life, it could be an alternate life or a life that's happening instantaneously along with ours, but a little bit differently. But then these moments of deja vu is like when the life patterns are actually crossing and simultaneously matching up.
Okay.
Okay, this is going to come out wrong at first, but it's not the way I mean it. I believe it's Nikki's fault.
Nikki.
How dare
What
you?
I do now, Cole.
Well, okay. So I have had full-on dreams
Okay.
that I still remember. And if anyone ever actually explored my dreams, they'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Because these are the most boring dreams I've ever had seen someone have. But they're actually, like, I've had dreams about us doing this. And full-on
Right.
conversations that we have later on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Nikki, when you do your psychic thing, okay, I don't know how else to put that, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
But
That's fine.
would you not agree that you expel energy?
Yeah.
All energy,
Oh, it's fine.
yeah. So all energy flows, right?
Sorry, say that again. All energy what?
All energy flows.
Flows, yeah.
So even
Yeah.
us talking right now, our energies are flowing in a pattern together in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly believe deja vu has a possibility of being people who are able to psychically connect with whatever network is out there. That's the
Right.
way I view it, because I think in computer talk, But it's a possibility that it's Nikki feeding that energy, that type of energy, into us by little amounts. So people that are more connected are allowing us to see small parts.
Right.
Oh, now that's an interesting thought process.
Right?
It's a very
Every once in a while.
interesting thought. I disagree with it, but I think it's a very fascinating thought.
So don't go talking about tantric sex on your next show, please, because they'll be talking about tantric sex on this show. No.
You just started talking about
You
tantric
are
sex.
Which one of us are you talking about?
I was like, no. Oh my
That sounds like a great topic. What are you talking
If
about?
she is listening, she's going to smack the shit out of you when you
Stay
get
tuned
home.
to the next episode of Tea Time. I'll be spilling the tea all over the place.
How to do it? I'm not talking about that. Oh my God, no. Oh my God, no. Okay. Wow.
Wow.
Sorry, I just.
Well, I love that because, like, last week I had deja vu while we were talking, and it was like one of you said, I think it was Joe said something, and then I was like, wow, I'm having deja vu. And then Cole said something, and I was like, wow, now I'm really having deja vu because that, and then it was like 4 sentences in a row that I like remembered having, and it's like it could be a premonition of the future, or it could be something that is happening instantaneously on other timelines. And and then the craziest part of it, the synchronicity, was about 5 minutes later, you're like, and next week we're going to talk about deja vu. And I'm like, what the heck? I just had deja vu. And then what you're talking about with dreams really fascinated me, was because one of the most amazing moments of deja vu I ever had was when I was gardening in my backyard right now that I live in, and I looked up and it was like the sun was starting to set and the little lights on my porch were glowing, and like the way that the air smelled and just like everything, it brought me back to this memory of a dream that I had about this amazing magical place when I was a child. And I realized that I was dreaming about this moment that I had about 2 or 3 years ago here in my adult body. You know, I was like literally like seeing through my adult body's eyes, but as a child, and I didn't even realize it at the time when I was a kid where this place was until I was actually in the moment. And then I was like, wow, oh my gosh, no wonder it was that dream, and it all came flooding back. So I definitely believe dreams are attached to this in some way, the astral realm.
Well, and that's kind of like, you look at hauntings, for example, and you know there's, oh God, I was just thinking about it, but now it's gone. Residual hauntings. We're talking about the energy and how it flows. Well, residual hauntings are just that. They are recorded haunting. There is no intelligence, there is no communication. It's just history repeating itself as a residual haunting.
Yeah, it's like a time loop.
Right. Which would be the same, you see a ghost. Hey, I remember doing that before. It's deja vu. Whoa, hey, I remember doing that before. What the hell? Yeah.
Right.
So, do you think deja vu is us in a living form doing the same thing?
That's a great analogy of putting it.
I was thinking the same thing, Harmony.
No.
No?
No, because some of the things that I've had deja vu with, I was dumb enough to do them the first time. I'm not dumb enough the second time.
Exactly.
History repeating itself? Yeah, come on.
Farron, okay, there's some things I was dumb enough to do second or third time. But, Farron,
You won't do it
like
for
sitting in a jail cell thinking, fuck, I've been here before. God damn it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's called a life lesson.
Yeah, I
that you
don't-
didn't get
well-
the first time, and it repeated itself.
It's what I call natural consequences.
It wouldn't be so bad if they weren't so
Yes.
cold. Farron,
Well, but my experiences with deja vu have always been the innocuous things that if it's going to be something where you're in a, it's going to be you from a past life, and you're in this one, and none of that makes. Why couldn't it be something like, okay, well, I'm going to know not to do the thing that will get me thrown into jail, so I should. I just,
well, that does happen sometimes. That's where the premonition comes in.
Yes,
And
see, that's what.
and reading timelines.
Yeah, I would just assume that's always premonition, that you're just somehow you're looking into the future, or you've seen the future.
As long as the last time you did it, you weren't actually being burnt at a stake or something. I mean.
Yeah, that would not be fun.
Right. Then there's fear attached to it, and the subconscious embedding their fear, for protection. I look at it, a lot like we're instantaneously having these experiences, and like when I make certain life decisions, especially that have to deal with my children, or my mom who's disabled, or my dad before he passed away, like I would see different timelines, and I'd say, okay, if we make this decision, then we will go down this timeline, or this timeline. If we don't make that decision, then these timelines open up and we make this other decision. And then different outcomes usually come from it. Ultimately, you'll reach the final outcomes will be like you've gained the same understandings and lessons, but they play out in different ways. And sometimes that timeline ends up, and I look at it and I'm like, whoa, that timeline in that reality, 5 timelines end up where this person's in jail. And if they make this other decision, there's 5 timelines open up where none of them end up where you're in jail, So it's definitely a discernment and a ability to tap into astral realms, or seeing, consequences from actions, or however you want to put it. There's many different ways to see it scientifically or esoterically. But I believe that, there essentially is many different possibilities that can happen with each one of our decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So that would ultimately align us to an alternate timeline, which we are experiencing deja vu or Mandela effect, to kind of affirm to us that we are in more of a reality, or like synchronicities can be like, hey, look, you made the right choice. You're on the right timeline. Or the jail cell can be like, ooh, you didn't make the right choice, Or maybe you did make the right choice and you were supposed to go to jail, and you were supposed to go through all that to learn certain lessons that you wouldn't have learned without going there.
Right, and that's where the reincarnation side does come in, because the purpose of returning is to learn life's lessons. If you're doing the same thing again, and you're going, oh, wait, I've done this before. You didn't learn that lesson. You're going to repeat it again until you get it right.
So do you think the deja vu could be related to that? Like showing us like some deja vus are like, whoa, this is a warning, like a fork in the crossroads, like this is your warning point. Or maybe even sometimes it's like, hey, look, this is a pat on the back, like you're aligned.
If you live 10 lifetimes and you're doing the same thing, then you ain't going, no. You're just going to go to the...
Always interested in this show.
Are you having deja vu, Cole?
No, it's... I don't know if this would be considered deja vu.
What's that?
It to me, it's kind of a type of, but... So, we used to have this dog named Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
And I was walking into the house, and I was bringing in groceries, and as I went past her, Kayla stopped me, and I talked to her for a second, and the dog was always underfoot, and I accidentally stepped on her paw. She didn't say anything. She didn't bark. She just looked at me with a really upset look on her face and said, like, kind of looked at me like, get off me, fat ass. We got a new dog this year named Daisy. And 3 days ago, I walked in carrying groceries, and I stepped on her foot when Kayla stopped me to talk at the door. And she did the same thing. She didn't bark, and she's a barker. She barks at everything.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't say a goddamn thing.
She just looked at you with a stupid look on her face?
Yes. Just like, why are you standing on me? But she didn't bark. She didn't yip. And like, I was right on her paw.
Mm.
It was weird that
And
it
that's
happened.
curious because it's kind of... Oh, go ahead.
It was weird that it happened with both dogs in the exact same way, in the exact same spot.
Right. That's what I was saying. It's curious that it was two different dogs.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like in the Matrix, right, it's like, it doesn't matter if it's the same cat or a different cat. It's just like, it's the same experience happening at the same time where you're,
Right.
like, it's the feeling that it evokes. Like, whoa, I've felt this before. Like, this is... And so then it makes you wonder, like, what did this occur for? Was it to tell you something, or was it,
Don't
you know,
say that
to let you
shit.
know
That means Agent Smith is coming for me. Don't say that.
What if you are Agent Smith?
No, you just got to picture a whole line of guns. And then grab a tin
Oh. What if you invited Agent Smith so you could awaken him?
Well, okay, so
Yeah.
That's a great question.
I had a whole thought about the idea of the Matrix being real. Because me, Eric, and Kayla had a conversation a while ago about this. And it was who would be awake. And at that point in time, I told them both I definitely would. Looking back at my life, looking at what has all happened to me, and what I've actually done, I actually believe it's more likely I'm an NPC now.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, you took the red pill.
No, I'm not even in the Matrix. I'm part of it. I am.
Oh, you're one of the guys on
I'm Agent
it.
Smith.
I'm a program.
Right.
Friend.
Well, that's essentially, we are all programmers of our reality once we become awakened.
But that's the thing. Programs can't be awakened. I'm not actually real, is what I'm saying. If there is such thing as a Matrix, I am a written piece. I'm not a human quality of that. I am essentially a part of the Matrix.
So he's not the red dress, he's all the black dresses walking down the sidewalk.
Yes. Friend.
Well, you seem pretty dang significant to me when I met you.
Friend, well, it just, looking at...
You weren't a background character.
Looking at comparatively what has happened to me compared to what I've actually been able to do, it seems like it's a possibility that I am not real.
Okay, we're not in the Matrix anyway.
You don't know that.
I do.
What if none of us are real?
Who the fuck is that? Sorry.
All a simulation.
That's not Neo. Oh, it's the Reface app. That's why. Robert, is that you?
Whoa. Oh, so we got 5 minutes left. Next week, are we talking alien bases, underground bases next week?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
They let us.
Okay.
I'm
I know.
That's
You're
enough
fighting
on
it
it.
a bit. You know what? You've got research on Antarctica, and it dawned on me, based on, I don't know if it's actual science or theory, but underneath all the ice, there's like a tropical rainforest type.
Hello? Hello?
Hey, we're still here.
Okay.
Hello?
And they
Yeah.
caves with frozen giants.
Something beeped
But,
and booped.
underneath the Antarctic is supposed to be, supposedly, this lush rainforest type environment. Could that be where woolly mammoth originated?
Or where they went when they left here.
Woolly mammoths?
Woolly mammoth was around before the Ice Age, correct?
No.
There's stories of giants that are in the South Pole in some caves that are like in a state of stasis where they're like in some deep meditation sleep, where like presidents and all sorts of famous people have gone and seen them and written their name on the walls and such. Pretty fascinating.
So we've had 3 significant ice ages.
Okay.
First one, small mammals took over. Second one, large mammals came into being. And then third one, they all went kaput.
Was each one worse than the last, as far as Ice Ages go, or?
No.
Okay.
No. The second one, I believe, is where we got Bear's Paw Lake, which covered from...
I think that's what carved out Whidbey Island in the San Juan Islands. It was,
not Bear's Paw. That would have... Yeah, it would have been a break from... off of what caused Bear's Paw Lake, but I honestly
I just mean
can't
the same
remember
time,
the flow.
right?
Yeah, but I can't remember what the flow was called, because each of them actually has a name.
Yeah.
Well, most of them do. Any one that we actually have figured out existed yet. But
It was glacial melt-off.
so like
It carved out the strait.
during the second ice, or after the second ice age, we, like this area, we'd be about 10 feet underwater.
Okay.
But pretty much from the Northwest Territories all the way down to like Kansas was an entire lake. So if you guys ever see a photo of like the hills in Montana, any of the desert areas, if you go about 40 feet down the hill, there will be a completely black layer, followed by a darker brown layer underneath it. That is Bear's Paw Lake.
Okay.
Nice.
Friend.
Yeah, I feel like I was just talking about this earlier today with somebody about the desert areas being oceans. And when I was driving, like down in like Arizona area, we actually had a moment where I saw us driving underwater. I actually had to focus on the land and like the now moment to pop back into it because I was feeling the pressure and like our car was going to cave in. And I never knew at that time that any of that was underwater, but apparently it was.
Oh yeah. And when you actually find, like, learn the history of it, what the hell is his name? Crap, now I can't remember his name. He's a paleontologist. He was one of the first ones called when they found the feathered dinosaur in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
He does an entire series just on Bear's Paw Lake, and it is an amazing show. I'm not sure where you'd find it. I watched the entire series at our local museum,
Right.
where he works, and so I watched it on a 16-inch screen because they hadn't updated since the 80s.
Wow. I love it. That's a small town, you know?
Well, it's not like that's the thing. I'm from Drumheller, Alberta. Drumheller is known for dinosaurs.
It's the
We
dinosaur
have
capital.
one of the largest dinosaur museums in the world. Yeah. Like, my entire life has been spent taking family and friends through that museum. And it's huge. Like, we were actually lucky enough that in the 90s, they gave us the only known bone found of the Supersaurus. And
wow.
If you imagine the leg bone off chicken, think of that as a brontosaurus. This is a human leg bone.
Ooh.
That's the size comparison.
Wow.
Yeah, like this thing's supposedly just amazing, but they've only ever found one bone of it.
In Drumhill or?
Wow.
No, it was found in Missouri.
Oh.
Sure.
Here.
So
Interesting.
but it sits in the Royal Tyrrell
And there are
Museum.
pyramids in Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That leads me to a curious question. Are dinosaurs the same thing as dragons?
No. And there was a dragon in the British Museum at one point, and then it disappeared.
Yep.
So
what's the difference?
Warm-blooded versus cold-blooded?
And body structure.
Which one was warm-blooded?
Dinosaurs.
Sorry, say that again?
Yeah, the dinosaurs were warm-blooded. Dragons are cold-blooded.
Even the like pterodactyls and things?
They're like a reptilian.
Yeah, I
Yes.
thought they were reptiles. Like that's where
I got that backwards? Do I got that backwards? I thought
crocodiles came from.
Isn't warm the one blooded?
No, I'm saying I'm saying the what's like a reptilian are the dragons.
Yeah, and but not in the same sense. Hold on, I gotta.
So the body structure of the dragon is also different because there's two different organs in the dragon that are different than the dinosaur. And there's
I thought they had two different hearts.
Huh? They
I
do.
thought dragons had two different hearts. Two hearts.
Well, isn't there many subspecies of dinosaurs?
Yeah, there's.
Yeah.
All
Just
different
like
kinds
many-
and did different
just like
things,
there
had
are
different
many
functions.
subspecies. There are many
Different-
subspecies of dragons too.
Mm-hmm.
But
There is.
dinosaurs. There were many subspecies, but none of them lived during the same time. You got to remember, when we say dinosaurs were lived 75 million years ago, when you picture all the dinosaurs together, like, okay, Land Before Time. Okay, go back to our childhoods for a minute. Not actually frickin' possible.
Right.
Because none of them lived in the same era. Some of them are from the Cretaceous, some of them are from the Jurassic, some of them are from the Jurassic. None of them actually lived
Do
at
you
the same
think they
time.
all looked the same in each era?
No, they didn't all look the same, but you had different...
They adapted.
Yeah, you had different adaptations, and a lot of them didn't make it. For example, the T-Rex. That's his name.
Huh.
That's just a glorified chicken.
Well, Phil,
Imagine the T-Rex had a beak, and feathers.
the guy who had
That's where I see my chickens running around. They're like little T-Rexes.
the guy who had that documentary, his name's Philip Curry.
Okay.
And I used to know him when I was a kid. And my favorite thing to argue with him about was why the Tyrannosaurus Rex died out. And he had all the scientific reasons. I'm like, no, it's because those little bitty arms.
Yeah.
He couldn't open the cans. But
Anyway, we're out of time. We will carry on dinosaurs on a whole other show
yeah, we can.
because we can fill up. We'll cover underground bases next week, and we'll do dinosaurs maybe the week after.
Well, maybe they run the underground bases. You don't know.
Well, they were according to you. And
Maybe there's dinosaurs in the underground bases.
I never know. That's where Elvis is too.
Dragon.
Elvis is not
Maybe they're
underground.
testing to
He went
figure
up.
out what's the
Yeah,
difference.
no, Elvis is in an underground base. I'm telling you, he's in Dulce, New Mexico. Anyway, y'all have a good night. We will see you next week, and stay safe out there.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Data transfer complete. System malfunction. Please evacuate immediately. Program terminated.
Son of a biscuit eater.